I put an air tag on Sarper's keychain because if he loses his keys, we need to be able to find them.
And what's the real reason there's an air tag on Sarper's keychain?
It's not coming out for me. I'm not married.
Wait, come on.
No, it's not possible for me.
Nice to meet you.
Oh, I've heard so much about you.
All good, I'm sure.
It's a beautiful house. Grande. Dawson, Tu Gusta. Fútbol. Diddy McGrande.
Y pues viene con su novio que me va a presentar, que me dice que me va a presentar, y una amiga de ella.
You need 2 hours from now.
Yes. We have?
No, you don't have.
Y'all, we have arrived to the wedding season and it is a mess. It is a shit show. And I have a question for y'all. Would you leave the altar if your partner was super late to the wedding? Because I feel like we're having a few instances of cold feet, runaway brides, runaway grooms. Let's get into it. Hi guys, welcome back to Nikki Faces Reality. We are here to discuss the latest of 90 Day Fiancé. We're going to jump straight into it. We're going to start, surprisingly, with Alliya&Shawn. Usually they are a bit of a snooze fest, but this episode I was like, okay. As always, I will include the timestamps in the description because I know they may not be your cup of tea, and I do that for all of them. So, and a reminder that this is a recap video, so I'm going to give you the details of what happened, my opinion. And y'all, they wake up at Shawn's mom's house. I started cracking up because I didn't even recognize Alliya for a second because this girl has a new wig every scene. I was like, when did she go to sleep with bangs? She had blonde hair the night before, which makes me think, does this girl just do her hair when she's bored? Because when we saw her later for the wedding preparation, it was a whole new wig. So I'm like, why take all that time? Especially if you're chronically late. More on that. But anyway, they wake up, it's the day of their wedding, and Alliya decides at the final hour that she's going to gift Shawn his wishes. She's going to sign the prenup. And she's like, I'm going to sign it, but I hope that we never have to use it. And he's like, yeah, you know, we'll just frame it above our bed so it can be a reminder. And they're both really sarcastic, and I don't know if it works for Alliya as much as it works for Shawn. But he's like, okay, so we're going to get married today. So that means that you're going to show up on time, right? So he starts getting ready, aka doing his mom's hair. In comes Jackie. Jackie is Alliya's bestie who has a bit of ongoing tension with Shawn. Shawn does not like this girl either. But she walks in. Shawn's mom is like, oh my God, yeah, you're Jackie. I've heard so much about you. And Jackie's like, all good things, I'm sure. To which Shawn's mom is like, she doesn't even try to like lie. Because obviously Jackie has asked some really important questions which Shawn has felt have been inappropriate. Could be argued. I think that she's having Alliya's back, but maybe the way that she did it was just a little callous, right? We can agree on that. But Alliya leaves with Jackie. When they leave, it is noon, okay? The wedding is at 5. That's 5 hours to maximize your time and get ready. She doesn't have a wedding party where they're taking turns to get ready. It's just her, okay? So she leaves. Shawn is freaking out in his house because he's like, oh my God, you know, everything is timed for this wedding, so it's important to be punctual. I think he has time like cocktail hours, the reception, all of those things. You know, weddings are big operations.
The wedding today starts at 5. The ceremony is going to be about 15 minutes. There's a champagne toast between 5:15 and 5:30. Then from 5:30 to 7, we're going to have dinner.
On top of that, the wedding is going to be outside and it is super hot. I think he said it's like 100-degree weather. So the stakes are high. People need to be on time. And immediately, you guys, they set the tone that this is going to be as chaotic as can be. We get a flash on the screen that like Shawn's mom got hurt. I think what it came down to is that she fell. And at first she didn't know if it was her hip or her leg that was hurt. But she like had it elevated. Shawn is freaking out. His mom is older. People can die from, you know, these kind of injuries. So he's like, my mom could be hurt and won't tell me just so she can make my wedding. And so he's freaking out because he's like trying to suss out what his mother's needs are, with at the same time keeping this operation running. Like he has to run errands for this wedding. So he's worried, okay? They pan to Alliya and they show a timestamp. She doesn't start installing her wig until 3 p.m. What was she doing from 12 to 3? Because I imagine, you know, when her and Jackie went to the rental, it couldn't have been more than 30 minutes away. Even if it was an hour away, you get to the rental at 1, girl, start showering. Start. But to start getting ready for your wedding when you know you take a long ass time at 3 p.m. is crazy. Also, Shawn, you gotta know your audience. I'm holding Alliya accountable, but you also gotta know your audience. If the stakes are high and everything needs to be to a T in terms of time, why didn't you hire a team for Alliya? Why is she her own one-person team when she is slow? And I think what was annoying for me with Alliya in this episode was that it felt like she had no urgency. She's like, it's my wedding day, and like, you know, I just want it to be perfect. Totally agree. I am with you. But also, there is a time constraint, and you are not moving along with it. Again, you guys, I have to remind y'all that the wedding is outside. And if you're late, all that extra minutes that you're late, extra hours that you're late, people are outside melting. And it is rude to do that to people. And I just want to say that y'all gave my girl Mina so much heat because she was late to a christening that was indoors with food and drinks and everything for people to entertain themselves. And that was one time. Alliya is chronically late. So I just want to make sure that y'all have the same heat. Because y'all were eating me up in the comments, being like, no, Nikki, that was rude. Like, she held those people up for 4 hours. They were inside, they were fed, they had drinks, and that was one time. But anyway, Alliya's getting ready. Her wig is installed. She's doing her makeup. Jackie's like, girl, I spoke to Shawn. He told me his mom fell. Alliya gets emotional. But still, she's like, and I'm like, girl, do you not have urgency to see how Shawn is doing? Do you not have urgency to see how his mom is doing? Still, slow as can be. You'd think she'd have a little pep in her step. You know what I mean? But then they pan to the wedding venue. Shawn gets ready so fast in that bathroom. And people start coming in at 4:45 because, again, they're expecting a 5 p.m. wedding. Shawn comes in at 4:45 as well. They pan to Alliya. It's 5:30. She's just putting on her wedding dress. We don't know how far she is from the venue. They pan again to 6 p.m. She's prancing around in the dress. Her naked ass wedding dress, okay? It's giving J-Lo. It's naked, okay? It looks amazing. She looks hot. But it is way more skin than I would like for my wedding, whenever that happens. They pan back to the wedding venue. Shawn is like, I have not heard a thing from Alliya. People at this point are like, outwardly complaining. They're like, damn, like there's no drinks for us here, like we have a hard out, like
We have no idea what's going on.
At this point, we should have already been like almost done with dinner.
Yeah.
Like it's just.
I have a hard out at 8.
and it is hot as balls, okay? Shawn is so pissed he just ends up walking off. In the preview for next week, it looks like he runs into her and he's like, nice dress. Too bad I'm out. Like, he is pissed. He is fuming. And Alliya looks heartbroken, but I'm like, girl, I don't know what you thought this was. Like, you only have venues for a certain amount of time. I just feel like she really had no urgency. Like, her attitude from the top of the day is like, I'll be ready when I'm ready. And you can't do that for certain events. I would love to know your thoughts on that. Let's move on to the Throuple. Y'all, the Throuple are in Guadalajara. They are in Ani's hometown. They are on cloud 9 after they have this trauma bond, aka she finally told them something from her life. We learn a little bit more about the fact that, you know, her parents passed away when she was young. She was raised by her aunt. And again, her aunt is super conservative, but this is the only family that she has. And it's important to her that she still has their support. And she's afraid that when she pulls up in a Throuple, that she's going to get disowned. On top of this not being the norm, they're super religious. So there's a lot at play. But again, Amini's like, well, you know, the reason I'm hard on you is because I went through this already. Okay, and you probably did it on your own time. I'm really icked out by this whole situation because I feel like they are pressuring Ani to do something before she is ready. Every part of this just feels forced, coerced, and I don't know. They pull up to Ani's family's home. There's a huge cross the minute they walk in. They're saying hi to everybody. You can tell that the aunt is a little uncomfortable with the cameras, but she says hi to everyone. And she tells in her little interview that she's like, oh yeah, I'm going to meet Ani's boyfriend today and meet one of her friends. Sure, Amini loves that. So Ani's about to, give her truth, and she's shaking a little bit, so she holds Matt's hand. All of a sudden, in this moment, Amini has a coughing fit. She claims it's because of the tea that she drank. I think that she was trying to send a signal like, I'm not the friend. Like, you better get comfy holding my hand, Maybe I'm toxic for thinking that, but I also feel like she's a little sinister. So I wasn't buying her little coughing fit, okay? But Ani is like, yeah, he's my boyfriend, but she's also my girlfriend. And her aunt is like, what? And she's like, yeah, we want to get married, like, together. And the aunt is like, well, you can't do that with our religion. And also, you guys, this is like a double whammy for the aunt because they didn't know that she was into girls. So she's like, yeah, I'm into girls too. And yeah, and we're together. Oh yeah, and they're also a married couple and they're going to divorce for me. To which Amini then inserts herself and she's like, tell them that I'm making a sacrifice getting divorced so that we can get married, that I wouldn't do that just for anybody. It's like, girl, this ain't about you. But Ani, obliges and she tells him. Mind you, Matt and Amini do not speak Spanish, so they're really just trying to read expressions. But for the most part, this is already going better than I thought because they weren't yelling. They were just in shock. Ani's brother is there and he's like, I can't really wrap my head around this. Like, I consider myself open, but this is like, I never expected this, but we have no objections, he still supports her. He still loves her, which I think is important for her to hear. Amini then is like, oh my God, please tell her that before it was Brenda against the world and now it's the three of us against the world. And to my surprise, the auntie's like, I can see through your eyes that you love her. And then I was shocked because the auntie ends up giving her blessing to them and hugs them and agrees that she'll go to the wedding if there is one. Because honestly, do y'all think there will be a wedding? And when I say that, you guys, I'm not judging people with different relationship styles. I think that there are a lot of people out there that have successful polyamorous relationships, but they take a lot of work and there's a lot of foundational work that needs to happen. And I feel like these people are mostly driven by lust and I think Amini's need for control. And I just don't think that they're at that level where they should have been meeting Ani's family. I think that move was a bit premature, and I don't think it's going to fix the issues that they have. And when we see next episode, Amini and Matt want Ani to choose who she's going to marry legally to get the ball rolling to bring her to America. And Amini's crying, and I think she's crying because Ani's going to select Matt. I've said it from the beginning that I think Ani downplays her feelings for Matt to make Amini comfortable because Amini is super insecure, super possessive. And honestly, I think that this whole Throuple situation was just a way for her to have her girlfriend and not really share with Matt until it's convenient. And I think that this is backfiring. So I think that that's what we're going to see when she starts crying. Unless it's a fake out. Who knows? But let's move on to Shekinah and Sarper. So Shekinah and Sarper, talk about cold feet. She's the ice princess, but he is having major cold feet, okay? So it's the day after the debacle with her friends. He feels blindsided. He's like, I feel like we never discussed prenup, so for her to just bring that up so close to the wedding, I'm like, who are you? And I can empathize with him being upset. I still think that his reaction to immediately dig at her weight and things like that was just nasty, and I'm never going to be okay with that. But he's talking to her and he's like, listen, that's not something we do in Turkey. That's super disrespectful. And she's like, well, we're not in Turkey and I need to protect myself. And also, this protects me just in case you cheat on me. Because let's be real, This man proudly talks about how he's been with 2,500 women. And I am all for a prenup. We've discussed this. I don't care if you're broke. I think that it is important to make good exit plans while you're in a good standing, because I do think that people do change when you're no longer the apple of their eye. I think that you don't give people the benefit of the doubt. You no longer give them grace. You no longer see the best in them. You think the worst. So yes, it's important to set those plans in place early on and then tuck it away and don't look at it unless you have to, you know? So I'm all for having this. However, I also think that it's more than one conversation. Even if it's like, no matter what, we're gonna have this prenup, whether you like it or not, or I'm not gonna marry you, you still owe your partner multiple conversations. And Shekinah just shuts this conversation down. She's like, we can have this later, and walks off and goes to the shower. And he's like, you're running away again, which lets me know that she does this often when they're having important conversations. And that's not fair either. I mean, I don't know how these two have made it this far. I think no one is perfect. Like, no relationship is perfect, and you don't always get it right. But knowing how to fight in a relationship is also important. And this is still someone that you love. And I just feel like Shekinah is so dry and cutthroat. And when they're at odds, it's like he's the enemy. And like, I just don't think that you should be like that every single time. Like, especially because he's there basically asking for affirmation, security from her. Like, we're still in this. Like, you're not planning to leave. The fact that she couldn't give that to him. And so then we see him call up his family to give them the tea. He's like, yeah, can you believe that happened? And they're like, oh my God, like, what? Does she want a divorce already? And he's like, so you know what I said? I said that you need to weigh 128 pounds because that's my stipulation. And his family is so tickled by this. They're so pleased. They're like, oh my God, that's such a creative comeback. It must be some Turkish humor, because I did not find that funny at all. But you guys, in this conversation, I don't know if they had mentioned this before, but Sarper has been married before. And he's like, yeah, this lady was an angel. And then the minute we got married, she switched up. She no longer wanted me to be around my family. So for him, I don't know if this is a reach, but he's like, yeah, Shekinah has never brought up a prenup. And for her to just bring that up, what if she changes the minute we get married? I'm allergic to marriage. I'm scared of marriage. So now I'm like, are you just using that as an excuse because you don't want to sign that? Like, what's going on? So then we pan back to later that day. Shekinah is blowing up Sarper's phone. He won't answer. She's like, yeah, we had a fight about him spilling coffee beans. And then he got stressed and he just walked off. And she's like, it's been an hour. He usually cools off pretty fast. He won't answer. And then she remembers, oh, I put an air tag in his keychain just in case he loses his keys. Girl, don't play with us.
The real reason there's an air tag on Sarper's keychain is because he won't share his location with me. And I think that if somebody is that against sharing their location, it's kind of suspicious and it feels shady. It feels like they're up to no good and they're being secretive. She eventually is like, yeah, he doesn't want to share his location, and, you know, I need to make sure he's not cheating. I know locations is a controversial topic, and I don't think there's anything wrong with you asking for it. But you taking it without your partner's consent, I'm not comfortable with that. And again, if you have to take those measures in your relationship, you probably shouldn't be with that person. There is something super invasive about someone tracking you without your knowledge. But she eventually tracks his location. She sends producers out there first. And he's like, yeah, you know, I'm just scared of marriage. She's going to switch up on me. And I just don't know if I can handle that. I don't want to make that mistake again. In comes Shekinah. What are you doing here, Sarper? Cold. Not trying to be like, baby, like, are you okay? You know, we're packing for our wedding. Like, do you want to talk? What are you doing here, Sarper? Oh, grow up. That was her attitude. She's just flabbergasted that he would have the audacity to even question marriage with her. But it's like, you are an ice princess. He is a whore and you are an ice princess. And I don't know, like, how you guys get by when things are not good. Next week, he's gonna be like, wait a minute, how did you find me? So we have that to look forward to. Next up is Juan and Jessica. So these two are days away from their wedding. They go to this rental. They're going to await his family. And it's a big deal because they're coming from all over. He's in a very white town. He hasn't really had connection to his culture. So he's just really happy. He's like, oh my God, my people this, my people that. He was raised by his auntie and uncle because his parents passed when he was young as well. So this is a big deal to have them around, and we see them embrace, and it's super emotional. But what is very apparent from the start is that Jessica cannot communicate with them. They do not speak English, and the few words that she knows are super butchered. And learning languages is not easy. I'm not going to pretend that it is. I didn't learn English really till like the 3rd grade. Before that, I was in ESL classes. It's not easy, but I am very confused when I see people in intercultural, interracial relationships and they don't make any effort to, like, you know, get to know it. And there's a moment that we see Juan with his cousin and he's like, yeah, you know, I'm so happy to be around everyone, and it's making me realize that, like, I'm afraid that my son won't be able to communicate with his family. And I just feel like there are certain sacrifices that you make. Not even sacrifice, but like, there are just some things that are altered when you date outside of your culture. And I feel like many people date outside of their culture and still keep their culture alive. And I think that Juan complains a lot. I feel like he's like, oh, well, you know, Jessica doesn't speak Spanish. Her kids don't speak Spanish. I'm the only one. And sir, that is enough. That is enough to keep your culture alive for David. And I don't think it is. I think that Jessica needs to put effort. I think that she needs to be open to it, and therefore her kids will be open to it. But you need to lead the charge. That is where you come in, because you are the only one that has this knowledge. And so when he's complaining about, like, feeling like he's alone in it, it's like, well, it doesn't sound like you're really doing anything at all to implement it. You said you wanted to be a present father. This is your moment to do it. You're not going to be at the cruises anymore. You're going to be there full time. Have a night a week or so where you introduce the family to a Colombian meal. Have moments with David where you have solo time to call up your family back home. Have moments where you introduce them to Colombian movies, Colombian music. I feel like he acts like he's helpless in it when he's not really doing anything at all. Also, David is so small that he hasn't lost time. It's not like he's late to it. This is a perfect age to start speaking Spanish to him, to start exposing him to things. Babies are like sponges. So this is his time to do it. Again, I told you guys I learned English officially in the 3rd grade. That's when I joined classes with everyone. But I'm 1st generation American. So everyone in my family just spoke Spanish. And it was important for my family that I keep speaking Spanish at home. And then at school and extracurriculars, I was, you know, immersed in English. And I do believe that you do have to practice it continuously. But again, if you are going to be a present father, that is your role, to implement it, to set the tone. While I am annoyed with Jessica's lack of interest and motivation, I am mostly annoyed with Juan pointing the finger when he should be leading by example. Jessica's a big girl. She's been with this man for 4 years. She could have downloaded Duolingo. Sure. Juan is upset because he's like, Jessica promised me 4 years ago that she was going to learn Spanish, and she hasn't. Now we're going to get married, and I can't get married if she doesn't know Spanish. Sir, she's not going to learn Spanish in 2 days. I'm going to tell you that right now. I also think that it's lame of him to set this expectation now, when he has had 4 years to set the tone that this was make or break. Now you have a kid with her. Like, at this point, it's okay to say that you are a little disappointed, but you didn't stress it enough even in the last year. Otherwise, she would have been further along. So I just think that this fight is really stupid. And he pulls out Jessica to have this one-on-one with her. Like, yeah, I'm disappointed. I don't want him to lose his culture, and I don't feel like you're making much of an effort. And she starts making, excuses like, oh, well, I've had a lot going on. I'm busy, this and that. And I'm not fully mad at that because she's right. She's been a single working mom. She's had to be everything to 3 boys. This man has been in a cruise. I am burnt out and I don't have kids to take care of. I would imagine that she's burnt out after taking care of 3 kids. I don't know if I buy that in 4 years she hasn't had any time, but I understand. But I'm not mad at her using the word busy. He is very mad at it. He's like, you're making excuses. And she is dismissive by nature. Every conversation we've ever seen her have with him, she's been dismissive. So they're really just 2 unlikable people. And I've said it, they're going to get married. I don't doubt that. I just don't believe that it'll be happily because I think that there is going to be a level of resentment. Let's move on to Mark and Mina. Honey, I cried. I wept, okay? So with Mark and Mina, she tells us that, she's going to find out today at any point whether or not Clayton will be able to come for the wedding. It's the last possible time that he can come. She's trying hard not to spiral, but obviously it is weighing on her. But they're going to go and look at the wedding venue and, finalize little things for the wedding, right? And she's nervous because Mark planned this wedding all by himself. And I would be worried too, except I think that Mark lets his wallet talk. And I think that I was right because they pull up to this venue and it is gorgeous. We meet the wedding planner. She's like, oh my God, finally you're here. Do you love? Like, look at the view. They go in, they start, looking at all the expenses and, he's getting his wallet out. Mina gets a call. She goes away. I think it's her. I don't know if it's like a sister or the person that's taking care of Clayton. And she has bad news. Clayton, unfortunately, will not be able to come to the U.S. And I think the worst part of it for me, because I'm just like thinking of him, this innocent child that misses his mom. He has no idea. No one has told him yet that he can't come to be with his mom and his sister and go to this wedding and meet his new dad. He packed his bags. He is so excited. When Mina started crying, I was like, oh, cut the cameras. Oh my God. My heart broke because we've seen a lot of moms on this show that have made questionable choices in the ways that they have left their kids. And I don't really buy some of their emotions. I'm thinking of a specific 1, 2. But with Mina, like, I could really tell that, like, this was never part of the plan. And Mark is watching her from afar and he's like with the wedding planner. He's like, yeah, that doesn't look good. But he's giving her space. Eventually she comes into the room and she's like, I'm sorry, but I can't do it without Clayton. And walks off. And Mark is like, Mina, I think that they're going to get married. But I think that it's going to be devastating. I think next week she's going to have to tell Clayton herself. And I'm like, oh, poor baby. Poor baby. Let's move on to Greg and Joan, the final couple. Y'all, it is the day before their wedding. They're going to have the rehearsal dinner. And Greg has rented out this place for them so that they can have solo time without Lucille knocking on their door. Okay? And it's so gorgeous. And at every turn, Greg is like, I can envision us, with a house like this and having little babies running around. And he is ready to put a baby in that lady. And I need him to be at his job a little longer, let his health insurance kick in, things like that before he baby traps her, I'm also like, Greg, you must be getting paid well because he is spending money, okay? We see that this is going to be an evening of surprises for Joan. He pulls out this African attire that he got in Brooklyn, which pretty on brand. I'm not sure if this is Ugandan attire, but he's like, this is the closest thing that I could find. I want her to feel as connected to home as possible. He also catered appropriate food for the occasion. Like, it was really thought out. And she is so happy. You can see how moved she is. He really thought of everything. They dress up, they look so good. It's a very intimate dinner with like his immediate friends, Lucille. And it's so funny, you know, everyone's eating the food, they're enjoying it. Lucille's asking a million questions, but still eating it up. Greg gives a beautiful speech to his loved ones, thanking them for being so open and receiving Joan, that they are the only family that she has there, and it means a lot. And I'm just like, Greg, and y'all know I've given Greg a lot of grief because I feel like he's a bit of a man baby, but I think that the way that he's moving in this episode, I'm like, okay, like you're emotionally there. And the surprises keep on coming because then he asks everyone to go outside. And so they're outside on the porch and I'm like, is Greg like gonna get fireworks? Like what are they gonna be outside for? In comes this band and Joan is like, oh my God. And you know, she's like a little more reserved, but she can't stop dancing. Like, she's just like, oh my God, I can't help it. This is so good. And so her and Greg are just dancing and they look so beautiful. I was really impressed. And I think what I loved the most is that you can see Greg feeding off of her happiness. And I think that that's when you know someone really loves you, when something doesn't have to be centered around them. And then they pan to the official wedding day, and Joan is getting ready at a salon. They pan to Greg. He is stressed. And it is a completely different vibe. He is not cheery. He is stressed on the couch. Apparently, on the, what's it called? On the wedding invitation, he put the start time wrong. And that is a big deal, but it's not what I thought was going to happen. I thought when he was stressed there that he put the completely wrong date or that the wedding venue booking was wrong. Okay, you put the wrong time. Totally like a mistake that should have been caught before. But now it's the wedding day. You have to just jump into action. Make your mom start texting people. You start texting people. Make your friends start texting people so that they can get the notice to get there a little earlier. Because the issue is that he doesn't want people walking to their seat as Joan is walking down the aisle. So he's, you know, like, oh, I'm afraid that Joan's going to think that I'm a F up. I think that out of all of the mistakes that can happen, you still have enough time to alert people. And so we'll see how it goes, if it runs smoothly, if there are disruptions next week. And next week, I think we get the wedding episode for everybody. So that should be interesting. That should be very interesting because there's also a teaser of Saeed coming up to Stevie the day of her wedding. Messy. But yeah, you guys, that was the episode. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments. Yes, I am peeling. If you guys see a close-up of my face, I was in Mexico, so I am peeling like a snake. I will be putting up a vlog about that on my other channel, so make sure to subscribe to that channel as well. It's under Nikki Approves if you haven't already. But yeah, you guys, I will see you in the next one. I am going to make a video on Hunt for Love. I am. So I think you'll be getting that later this week. But we have a lot to talk about that one too. So make sure to hit the bell icon so that you don't miss out on that update. And yeah, see you later.